There is something special inside you.
Welcome to GNG Podcast with your host, speaker, best-selling author, Chaz Jackson.
Yo, what's going on, kings and queens? It's your boy Chaz Jackson coming back to you once again, representing GNG Gifting and Gift. Hey, I personally just want to take the time to tell each and every one of you, thank you so much for giving me your eyes and ears once again. It's great to dive deep into some inspiration that I pray will plant like a seed in your mind and assist you in becoming a greater version of yourself. So if you're tuning back into GNG Podcast, or if you're a new listener tuning in, you know that our motto on this podcast is we are all gifted differently to make a difference. And I know there are tons of difference makers that's listening to this episode. Go ahead and let us know that you're there. Comment, share this out to anyone that you feel is going to be able to resonate with this giant that we have on this show today, the talent whisperer, my man, Lawrence Henderson. He is going to bring some value as we concentrate on the theme, bridging the gap. And I'm so excited. It's going to be such a treat for him to be on and blessing each and every one of us. And before I read off his short bio and get him on, I want to go over the mission statement for GNG Podcast. It's to provide tips and techniques for young men as they strive towards growing in personal development. And I want to challenge you as I take this daily challenge myself of becoming a passionate visionary who is determined to leave a legacy for themselves by adopting unwavering life values and serving others in the area of gifting led by God. So that is the mission that we're on. I ask you to take that daily challenge with me. I know my man Lawrence is on that same mission as well. And gosh, I'm going to read off this bio. We're going to get him on. Lawrence, he's a husband, he's a speaker, author, podcast host. He's a fellow JMT coach and trainer. This gentleman is also a veteran. Thank you for your service on that end. And I'll tell you what, family, he's passionate about helping others improve their processes, increase their revenue, and grow as individuals and leaders. And he is shining his light in his area all over the country. And he is here on GNG Live Stream Podcast. Are you ready to get it, my friend?
Let's get it. Let's get it. I'm ready. I'm pumped and jazzed already, man. Let's get it.
Oh, yes, sir. Yes, sir. And I know what I read off was short and sweet. Lawrence,
good.
Is there anything else you would like the audience to know about yourself?
Absolutely not, because I tell stories as we get rolling, so they'll find out all they need to know about me.
Dude, I love it. I love it. And before we even dive into your story, the talent whisperer, man, what's the background on that, man? I really like to get to it, man.
So one of the biggest things that I like to say I was gifted is the ability to connect with anybody, no matter the background or anything like that, but get to the heart of what they need in my presence. And so really built off of that John Maxwell premise of leadership is influence. And so I'm constantly seeking to use the influence of presence. If you're not present, you don't know what's happening around you. And so if I'm not present to your reality or what's happening with you, Chaz, then I can't be what you need me to be in the moment. And so I'm constantly focused on staying present and constantly focused on making sure I'm adding value in any space I'm walking into.
I love that. There's no better way of putting it. And thank you for being intentional the way that you are adding value to people and serving others in your area of gifting. And I know you've been the president of Boss Consulting. I know you're doing a lot of great things here in 2021. What did all that start from? Can you just kind of start with your backstory and kind of take us on a journey of how you got to being passionate about helping other people like you do?
Yeah, so started off from a former Army officer. I transitioned out January 2015. I can't believe it's been over 6 years since I transitioned out. And it was just time. It was a time for a pivot. And you know, not in accordance with what I was being briefed. There wasn't a line waiting on me. to help me transition into this new life of the civilian world. But what ended up happening was I found myself spiraling out of control downward, not connected to purpose. And one of the biggest things that I found was I had never written myself a mission statement. Outside of the military, outside of anything else, I had never given myself a mission. And you talk about, you know, being connected to purpose and our thing in Christ is like, but I had never sat down and said, who's Lawrence outside of the uniform? And of course, consuming all the leadership books I wanted to, but I was using them for things instead of using them as interpersonal type of development. And the biggest journey I had to take was finding out who I was, not only through Christ, but who he wanted me to be in this new season of life I was in. And it put me in contact with, and talk about the algorithms, right? Algorithms on social media, the algorithm had the JMT team pop up on my Facebook feed. and I started down the road of finding out what JMT was all about, what the certification program was about. And I got bit by the coaching bug, and just the understanding of what that was, and literally started to seek out purpose and alignment. And in that same process was connected to serving, and really being present, going back to being that people and talent whisperer. I needed to be in the game. And so I hadn't even recognized that because I didn't know what I wanted to be or wanted to do, I had taken myself out the game, Chaz. And that actually was the part of disconnection, not only from myself, but identity in Christ. So that's kind of where it started. And then 4 coaching certifications later, a master's degree later, and now in a PhD program in organizational leadership, everything I do is with intentionality to help support the disposition of a person, the character of a person, the value of an organization. And so that's where I'm at today, man. Loving life.
Dude, that is so beautiful. Thank you for going in more detail and diving even deeper on your story and on your path. And I know us connecting, John Maxwell, he's been a huge influence on my life as well. And I love how you said how you became more intentional and was just seeking ways of discovering more of a purpose for your life. And that always started, and John always talks about just getting around people that are ahead of you. So it seems that's kind of the journey that you took. And for
Definitely.
me, you know, getting around people that's at the level that you see yourself or envision yourself being, and really beating on your craft to really discover more. You know, John constantly talks about value self so that you can value others and add value to other people. So yeah, thank you so much for what you do, man. And that's just such a treat to hear how passionate. Just looking at you on this video, man, I know you're passionate about what you're doing, and you really enjoy helping other people. So gosh, man, thank you again. And I know this show is built around providing tips and techniques for young men. I know there's a young man that's listening to you, a teacher, coach, parent that's looking at you right now that's kind of wondering, what are some tips and techniques, some rituals that you do on a daily basis to help keep yourself grounded, help keep yourself thrive, and to continue to grow yourself so that you can add value to other people? Anything comes to mind?
Yeah.
On that?
Definitely. So along this journey, one of my speaker goals was to do a TEDx, and I checked that box earlier than I thought I would. Checked that box back in 2018, and one of the things that came out of that was connected because I was telling a story of transition and mantras, affirmations, and my talk. The main idea was actions over ideas always win. And so with that, I didn't know in that moment, it was like God downloading into me, stay connected to this. Because again, it's faith without works is dead. Yeah, and so, but my version of faith without works is actions over ideas always win. And then what came later as a full-time entrepreneur and me going into year 2, he was like, okay, you got actions over ideas, but then here's this other one I want you to hold on to. Just because you can doesn't mean you should. And what the focus was there is, are you working on your work? Because a lot of us, and as the young men listening and parents or teachers that are out there, just because we're skilled or gifted to do a thing, does it mean you're supposed to do the thing? And so getting in alignment with what you're actually supposed to be doing. And sometimes that means you have to challenge what that thing is. And so again, it could be a family like, hey, you're good at graphic design. Okay, good. But if you absolutely hate it, I mean, with a like hate it with all your being,
Right. What's
that's
the purpose of
probably
sticking in it? Yeah.
that's the purpose, right? And so one of the things that I was doing is I had an opportunity. I'm good at operations. I mean, I'm like I can see like God. That's one of the other things God's gifted me with, and I almost put myself in a business position to take on something that on the surface looked lucrative, but it was out of alignment. And sometimes God puts people in our lives. He uses people when we can't hear that voice too clearly and we're tunnel visioned. Sometimes he'll use a person. And in this instance, it was my wife. And my wife locked me back in on, hey, have you given your full self to boss that God gave you? While you off trying to run and do this other thing, are you in alignment? Like she hit me back with my own stuff, Chaz.
Oh wow!
Right?
They something else about that, man. I don't
right?
know.
Well, I'm telling you, but it goes to what you said around the tips that people listen to those that are in your circle and who you allow to give you advice and different things like that. But hold your affirmations, put those things, whether it's a scripture, whether it's affirmation, whether it's something, and then meditate on those things and what it means for your life. Because here's also the thing I've come to understand. We live in seasons, right? Just like the season, like the natural seasons of winter, spring, fall, and summer, we live in seasons. And so again, we know those as, your seeding, watering, harvest, all the rest of those things. Understand and identify what season you're in for the task that you're performing. And so that comes from, sometimes you may not understand that. It may actually come from Chaz. May actually come from somebody else in your season, in your community that is looking like, oh man, you're growing. You may not feel it, but it's coming through people. And so one of the other things is making sure that you are praying, who am I supposed to be receiving counsel from outside of Christ and outside of prayer and all the rest of those things. And so those kind of those big three, have your affirmations, understand who your community is, and making sure that the work that you're doing is in alignment with your natural call. And so those are kind of the big ones for me that have kept me grounded. And here's the crazy part, Chaz. I got to keep checking in. I got to keep checking in on those things, renewing my mind daily, because the opportunity will be emailed to me and I'll be like, that ain't mine. That ain't mine. I might need to hand that off to somebody, but that's not mine. I'm like, I have no clarity. I have no peace about that. So that's not mine. And so, and that's what that other thing was. I was trying to make it fit because I could. And it was out of alignment. And so there we go.
Dude, I'm telling you, whoever's listening to this right now, hey, hopefully you got your pen and paper. If you didn't, go ahead and pause it. Rewind the bad boy back, because Lawrence, man, he gave some amazing meat and potatoes there. And, I was sitting here taking notes. I know you hit on affirmations, having that community around you, alignment, and checking in. That is so deep. And I want to hang out with that community because that's just so vital. It's so vital. I say a lot of times with my young people, I use the analogy of relationships being like water. They can either nourish you or they can drown you. Think about it can either nourish your dreams and goals, your ambitions, where you're striving for, what Christ is leading you to, or it can be drowning, right? And we really got to differentiate that. And God, man, those affirmations are so key. And that's one of the things I take the daily challenge on is that first 10 minutes when I wake up, what is my self-talk like?
There we go.
What am I saying to myself? So all that you just said, man, the whole alignment aspect of things. And guys, you said your wife, and my wife is so quick, man. Just like, man, this is what you told me about. Like, this is coming from a whole different source. This don't have nothing to do with gifting to give. Why are you trying to do this for? And God, man, I swear my wife's the MVP. I always call her that. And man, so we got to get those people around us that has our best interest, really invested in our goals, what God is showing us, and keeping us accountable, man. Because like you were saying, man, we can drift off and do other things because it's hard to say no at times, right? Especially when somebody's giving you an opportunity that's good, It's a good
Mm-hmm.
opportunity, but is it in alignment with what you're doing? So whoever's listening, that was some valuable stuff, and definitely I encourage you to take that daily challenge of really writing things down and getting those priorities in order, like Lawrence was talking about there. That's really good stuff, man. And this kind of goes into this question, Lawrence. So the theme is bridging the gap. So when you hear
Mm-hmm.
me say that, what does that mean to you, bridging the gap
Yeah.
from a personal development standpoint?
Yeah. I'll tell it in the way that it came to me in the book, and it really came from a place of having to identify where you are and where you want to go.
That's
And
good stuff.
and that place you want to go, it's all well and good, right? It's rainbows, thumbs up, smiles, and pixie dust. But do you have what it takes today to get to where you dreamt of? And one of the things that I had to do, I saw a speaker, I saw a coach, I saw a trainer, I saw a connector, I saw a foundation builder. But in the moment I saw it, I didn't have all the skills.
Mm,
And so I had to get real, and I had to put a plan down and say, okay, what's my first next step? And that's the part that a lot of people don't get. They start planning out, whether it's, kind of a spider graph or a mind map or whatever it is, and they'll put it down and they try to eat the elephant. But no, what's your first next step? And so bridging the gap part is you you identify what needs to be done to get you to that end goal. But then you, along the way, you create what I call smart goals, but aiming smart. And along the way, because here's the thing that happens: most people, when they write down smart goals, and you tell me if I'm wrong, Chaz, when people are first introduced to specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, and timely goals, time-bound goals, they're generally things you've never achieved before
mm,
at the level in which you wrote it. And
mm,
so a lot of times those smart goals, well written, it's beautiful on the sheet, but you've never in your life even achieved anything like that. And so I came through a coaching program that said, okay, instead of smart, in addition to smart, aim smart. And the AIM is an acronym for give yourself guardrails, give yourself a range of success, not just boom, that's the line in the sand and that's what it'll look like. And so with this range, you now allow yourself to build in grace
mm,
and mercy along the goal achievement, right? And so the A is, what's my acceptable minimum? My acceptable minimum says I can do it in my own strength today, right? That first next step I could do on my own. This is what that looks like. But then that I is that big, hairy, scary thing. That's ideal, right? If I could go fast with the team or whatever, that's what I would achieve. But then M says, what's a manageable stretch? And so when I began to put the guardrails on my success and on my goals, I began to bridge the gap quicker with goal achievement. And again, it's like this in school. I gotta get an A. What's passing?
yeah,
What's
exactly.
passing?
Yeah,
Right. And it's not you shooting yourself in the foot like, man, I'm not achieving success in the highest grades possible. Let's just say you're challenged in math and you just gave yourself an unrealistic goal of trying to get an A. A is the ideal. But what's the range? What's passing? Okay, if a 75 is passing, okay, that's your acceptable minimum with the effort you put in today. You working full time. Let's be realistic. But then that acceptable stretch is, okay, let's get that B. Let's get that 85. Right? You might need to get a tutor. You might have to
mm,
do a couple more things to make sure you get that B, because that A is going to insinuate you get rid of all activities that you're currently doing. How
mm,
realistic is that for you to just drop everything, study full time, and that's it? Right. And so for you now, people can wrap their minds around aiming smart. And that's how I bridge the gap is every single individual goal I put guardrails on
mm.
and had my AIM through every single smart goal I built to this day. I put an AIM smart goal around being an entrepreneur, and I'm in year 2 of full-time entrepreneurship, making more
And can
money than
you
I
can
ever made.
and for the audience, can you like Can you
Yeah.
say what the acronyms are, like the words?
Yeah. So aim. So aim is the A is acceptable minimum. The I is ideal, kind of max. The M is manageable, stretch, right? And I'm adding that second word, but there's acceptable, ideal, manageable. But then smart, the S is specific, M measurable, A achievable, the R realistic or relevant, and the T is timely or time bound, right? Because that's the other part too, right? You don't give yourself a deadline. Right? You say you want to lose weight. You say you want to be faster, skinnier, eat better. How long? How long till you get there? Right? If there's no time associated with it, you take a lifetime. Right? That's like people now. People, I've been losing weight since 1982. Right? But no, those I'm telling you, and it sounds simple, but we go back to the word intentionality. It goes back to you setting an intention and you waking up every day. Because here's the thing, I was watching a podcast the other day, Chaz, and it hit me right between the eyes. The gentleman said he got told by a billionaire about discipline, right? You always hear you got to be disciplined, got to be disciplined, got to be disciplined. And he said the billionaire told him, he said, get that word out of your vocabulary. He said, I've run 25,000 miles in my lifetime up to this point. And dude broke it down. He said in the last 25 years of me being in business, he said, I've ran 25,000 miles. He broke it all the way down to where it averaged out about 4 miles a day for 25 years. And he said, what we need to do is get good at creating new lifestyles and behaviors. He said, because when it becomes a lifestyle and a behavior, you'll do it even when you don't want to. He said, if you just have to be disciplined about something, you just have to say, you know what, I just won't eat that. For how long? But until you turn things into a behavior and say, I'm not even going to tempt myself with that because I'm changing my entire lifestyle. And that won't even be in my presence.
I like that.
Right. And so now for those young men and teachers and parents listening, it's about building better behaviors so that we are being different, not just doing things differently. And so it's a being thing, man. So it's Christ talking about building us out, man, renewing your mind daily to things. And even when you don't want to, you got to build that behavior.
Oh, most definitely. And you kind of hit on that community aspect of, in scripture,
There we go.
talking about iron sharpens iron, right? So
there we go.
Getting around those people that's going to sharpen you and aim smart, like my man Lawrence said, aim smart. Definitely take that in consideration. Whoever's listening, that is some valuable information that he has just dropped on this episode. Thank you so much for that, man. And I feel like, and I know you agree with me on this, let me know if you do, but whenever you really align things out, you get more clarity on what you're doing in life, and you become more magnetic, meaning attracting the people that needs to and be there to influence your life, being more intentional, having more energy towards investing in yourself, investing in your business, investing in your community, your family. I mean, we can draw the line and plug in the blank of how much purpose and intention, we've been throwing that word out there a lot, just getting clarity. And I feel like that aim smart, everything that you're sharing, that is marquee of gaining clarity, and you're going to become more magnetic and be able to drive towards making your dreams a reality. So, dude, this has been a phenomenal episode. And I know someone that's listening right now, they're like, man, I need help with the aim smart. It looks like my man, the Talent Whisperer, he knows what he's talking about. They want to learn more about you and how they can get in contact with you. Can you share your information with everyone?
Yes, sir. So you can find me across social media on Twitter, Facebook. What is that other thing? Instagram. I'm Boss Lab. BOSS Boss Lab, and that's boss, lead like a boss, BOSSLLAB. And if you're on LinkedIn, come hang out with me on LinkedIn. I do lives in my podcast, Hot Takes, and it's my full government name, Lawrence E. Henderson Jr. That's how you find me on LinkedIn.
Boss, push it to the limit. Yeah, Boss Consultant, man. He's doing his thing. Again, man, thank you so much for your time, your effort, your consideration to come on GNG Podcast and blessing this audience. I told each and every one of you that was going to be a treat. Man, I know there's going to be so many more phenomenal things that's going to be created moving forward from this episode, man. And I'm so excited to be connected with a brother like you who is inspired by Christ and allowing God to lead the way, and you being a conduit to bringing your fruit to serve to the world, to help other people be able to produce their own fruit to serve to the world. So again, man, this has been an amazing episode, and thank you again.
No, thank you for this opportunity, Chaz. And again, those of you out there, continue to connect with Chaz, continue to support the community so that you can, again, gift in gift, GNG. Like, go ahead and do your thing, man. I appreciate you, bro.
Yes, sir. I'm going to lead us out real quick. I told each and every one of you this was going to be an amazing episode. Thank you, each and every one of you, for tuning in. Go ahead, drop your comments. Let us know what resonated with you in this episode, Bridging the Gap. And I want you to stay up with GNG. More episodes coming soon. I want you to do two things for me. Keep that crown on your heart. And please remember this. We are God's echo. I love each and every one of you.
Thank you for listening to GNG Podcast. Remember, you are gifted differently to make a difference. Please visit ChazJacksonSpeaks.org and let's continue to grow together. God bless.